Hi there, everybody. This is Carrie Hamblen, the CEO and president of the Las Cruces Green Chamber of Commerce, coming to you again with another Zoom chat that we offer our members of the Las Cruces Green Chamber of Commerce. And today I have Chris Boston, who is the president and CEO of Tresco Incorporated. Chris, it is so nice to see your face, even though it is here on the screen. You're brand new members to the Green Chamber, and we're so grateful to have you here. We have a lot of nonprofits that are members of the Green Chamber, and I don't know if you knew this, is that there's a really easy and logical pairing between our nonprofits and our local businesses, because local businesses give back to local charities 350% more than do national chains. And
Absolutely.
so really lovely relationship that we have between our member businesses and our member nonprofits. And so nice to see you. And as a new member to the Green Chamber, tell me a little bit more. I've known about Tresco for a very long time, but tell me about Tresco and how you came to be the president and CEO.
Okay, you bet. Tresco is like you were saying, a nonprofit organization, and we are celebrating our 54th year in existence. We were started in 1968 up in Socorro as the Open Door Center by a bunch of parents who said, you know what, we don't want our kids going to institutions any longer. We want them to stay home here in their home communities. And so we had parents start what was called the Open Door Center. And over the last 54 years, we have morphed into a multi-business line nonprofit, and who we employ over 500 individuals from Albuquerque to the Mexican border and from the Arizona border to the Texas border. We're in the entire southern half of New Mexico, which a lot of people don't realize. And we provide three main business lines and areas that we support. First is our community support services, which is the home and community-based waiver. What people traditionally think of as 24-hour a day, around the clock support in like a group home, if you will. People are familiar with that. And then we also have children's services that we provide two areas. One is our TOTS early intervention program, which has been in existence for 35, 38 years, something like that. And that is a service that is free to families of kids who are 3 and below. And we encourage every family to have their child screened who is below 3. All the services and supports are free of charge. And it's just your time to let our team of professionals, our occupational therapists, physical therapists, take a look at your child. And then if we find that there's a delay, we put together a service plan, and we help your child get up to their developmental milestone, which is awesome. Yeah. We also have our Day One Home Visiting program, and that is a program that focuses on new moms, young families, and we model that with the state of New Mexico. We do that collaboratively, following the parents as teachers model, and so that is less geared towards the child and more towards the parents teach the parents how to be better parents.
Right, and have that support system when you have these different factors that are now part of your life is really critical.
Yes, and being able to find resources for your child, even basic primary care, pediatricians, how to access those. So that's a fabulous program, and we serve 200 families at any given point of time in that program. And then the last program is our Tresco Works program. And that is where we actually go out and we find federal and state and private contracts, and we put people who have disability,
different degrees of disability, right?
Yeah, different disabilities. And I'm trying to use a new term that I learned yesterday, which was awesome. Diversity of disabilities. Which we don't people usually associate Tresco as serving people who just have intellectual disabilities. Right. And we actually support any person who has a disability. We support warfighters who have come back from theater who have a disability. We support families who've maybe experienced a brain injury in their family. Mm-hmm. A health condition, diabetic individuals, people who have hearing impairments, vision impairments. We support all people with disabilities in that program. Wow. So it's a great opportunity. And if we have some time, I'll tell a really cool story about someone with a disability that we employ in Alamogordo. So that's basically the organization.
Well, and the thing is that I think most folks are familiar with I mean, I'm so glad that you went over all the programs, because I think most folks, when they think of Tresco, they're thinking of how you're able to create those partnerships for people with uh, lesser, smaller degrees of disability, to where they're able to go ahead and work, in a local business or an agency. And the fact that you've clarified that it's not just that there are other things that you can provide is absolutely outstanding.
Thank
And
you.
and so with that, I mean, that's an enormous lift for a nonprofit. I mean, it's what you do. And so during the pandemic, how did you navigate that?
Well, I tell you, it was a challenge. But I have to tell you, to just start out, the proudest thing that I probably will have accomplished, and of course, I didn't do this alone. I did it with my team, but not one person at Tresco lost their job because of the pandemic, and we are so proud of that. And we were also proud that we were able to keep people safe. Of course, we had employees and participants who developed COVID, but what we did, and the approach that we took was, we want people to alert us immediately, and when they think that they have symptoms, get them out of the workforce and get them tested. And so what we implemented was, you let us know that you have symptoms, we're going to pay you to get out of the workforce until you are tested negative. And so we were able to really mitigate the effect of COVID on our workforce by doing that. And we used, obviously, the federal programs that were available to us. But I will tell you, I personally think that for me, and in 20 years when I retire, I'm going to look back on this time and say, when everybody else was losing jobs, people were shutting down, Tresco was actually growing, and we were hiring people, and people with and without disabilities, by the way. So very, very proud of that. And we got through, and we're thriving today. So
That's amazing. I think, it's a testimony to just the commitment that your organization has for your clients, and also for your staff. So thank you for doing that, because that's a big challenge. And so with this, though, unfortunately, you had to recently stop the home and community-based services program, and that was because funding was horrible for it. You just didn't get the
right.
funding that you needed.
Well, thank you for bringing that up, and I really appreciate it, because I first, I want to make it really clear that Tresco itself is not going out of business, and the newspaper did a fabulous job of making that clear. But we've had some people ask, and no, we are not. Our community support services, our waiver program, has been troubled for decades, and we finally had to sit down and take a heart-wrenching look at not only the finances. So to start with the finances, our program, we've had to backfill in the last 10 years over $12 million to keep the program open. And that's not sustainable. The other part is that we had to really look at the safety and the workforce that is going to be called upon to serve our population. And with the funding that we receive from the state of New Mexico through the Home and Community-Based Waiver Program, our funding is based on a $10.15 an hour rate, which is nowhere near minimum wage. And we are out of the gate. We're if a person is in our service for 365 days a year, we are only funded for 340 days. So we're already 7% cut back from that. And we had to make a very tough decision. And you, in your capacity as a state senator, you did some advocacy for us this last session, which we appreciate. Angelica Rubio and Doreen Gallegos also did some advocacy for us, and we really appreciate them. But regrettably, there's just right now there isn't. I don't know if you call it the stomach at the legislature and at the governor's office to do what needs to be done to bring us to where we need to be. And quite frankly, the safety of our participants is starting to be questioned.
Right.
We're questioning that, not outside entities, but we're questioning that. And we had to say, you know what, for the safety of our participants and the safety of our employees, we need to terminate the contract. And so we notified the state and gave them a 120-day notice. And so we're going to be serving individuals until the 30th of June, which is the end of our fiscal year. And we anticipate all of them to find new providers. We're obligated by our contract to stay providing those services until transition happens. And we have made that commitment to everybody. Our board is insisting on that, and we as a staff insist on that. And so nobody's going to be kicked to the curb. But it has been an uproot of history for many people, because we do have a number of folks that they've not lived anywhere, they've not been anywhere but in the Tresco family, and they have no one else but us. And I'll tell you, our board, we have a board member whose family has had a seat on the board since the beginning. His mother or aunt, and I'm sorry that I can't remember if it was the aunt or the mother, who they've now since passed, but they were one of the founders of the Open Door Center. And their family has always supported the program. And he said, you know, as much as this pains me, we can't be part of a system that is broken. And it's time to have the state understand that. And it's had an impact. There's been a real ripple effect, and we hope that change happens. And next year will be a very monumental year for the program in the legislature. And I hope that they do the right thing, so we will not be participating in that program any longer.
Yeah. Well, you know, I know that myself and my colleagues in my other capacity will continue to do what we can to help advocate for that. Yeah. And so what does that mean for a path forward for you? I mean, you've still got, you know, just incredible services that you're able to provide, and you know, the folks that you're able to really give value to, because when the program started, there was really just this societal mindset of that you put folks who are experiencing delays in some manner or another, or disabilities, that they go into a group home and then you just never see them again. And so that's where I think the humanity of Tresco and the maintaining dignity of people has really been instrumental. And so what do you see as kind of your forward steps, and especially since you're over 50 years old?
Yeah, great. Thank you. And what our next 50 years is going to look like is growing from the base. We are going to grow our employment services program. Having a job is one of the greatest supports a person can have. And so we look at it as in a social entrepreneur basis. We go out and we find opportunities, and we put people to work and give them opportunities to learn skills. And then hopefully, if we've had people who have said, you know what, I think I've gotten everything I can out of the job at Tresco or through Tresco, and I'm going to go find my own job. And I can tell you story after story after story of a gentleman, or of people who have done that. But one gentleman in Alamogordo I was talking about earlier, he was never given a chance. Because the way that, and these are his words, he says, I've been described as slow, and I never was given an opportunity to be anything. And so we hired him to be a custodian in Alamogordo, and now he's the crew leader. And he is so proud to say that I'm not a custodian, I'm the crew leader, and I have responsibility in and the people that he interfaces with at the city of Alamogordo. I'll just call his name's not Bob, but I'll just say his name is Bob. They talk about how Bob has blossomed. Bob has changed. Bob will look at you straight in the eye and talk to you, where before he would only talk to you like this or down with his head. And now he looks you straight in the eye, and Bob has value, self-value that he has earned himself. And we have story after story after story. So we're going to be growing from the base there with jobs, and that's really going to be where we see ourselves in really providing services as opportunities for people to work. And then in our children's services, we've already had some opportunities come to fruition for us to relocate and not relocate, excuse me, expand into other parts of the state to provide services, because our early intervention services and our home visiting services didn't shut down during COVID. And so we're going to be doing some more of those services around the state. And then we also have other opportunities in that we've identified, social entrepreneurism to have teach people with disabilities to maybe own their own business, how they can employ themselves, or Tresco starting in some new areas, some new lines of business, and employing more people with disabilities to get them to work, because having a job is the greatest support a person with a disability can have. Because, Carrie, when you meet somebody new, there's one of two questions that are asked, and it is, tell me about yourself and your family, or it's what do you do for a living?
Right. Right.
And I mean, that's what it is. And so for people to be able to say, for instance, we take care of the United States Federal Courthouse in downtown Las Cruces. And for people, one of the things that I don't allow people to say here is that I'm just a custodian, because nobody is just anything.
Right.
I'm not just the CEO. Person's not just, we are a team, and we're here. And so when people talk about, I'm here to help make sure that the justice system and the federal system at the courthouse is operating correctly, I am essential to that, and I'm an essential worker. And so we've made that perfectly clear that all of our folks are essential, regardless of the job that they do.
Well, I think that's fantastic. Providing somebody the opportunity to live with integrity and character and value is something that was often for many, many years, and still, which is why you exist, is that, that wasn't accessible. And so, giving folks that. So if there's a local business that would like to employ one of your clients, do they get, I think this is another Zoom chat, because we will be able to talk about that. But I think if we have a small business that would like to work with you on employment of folks who are participating in Tresco's services, they can reach out to you and
absolutely
find out what they need to do.
Absolutely. Just ask for me directly, and I'll be able to facilitate and navigate the person to the right area. And whether that business solution is with us or with an employee, it depends on what the employer is looking at. And I want to just say to all of our employers, please, if you've been wondering whether or not a person with a disability might fit within your business, talk to us and let us give you some information, because I think a lot of people think of people with disabilities as an ADA nightmare that I'm going to have to think about it, reasonable accommodations. Well, I'll tell you, if you really think about it, every employer accommodates every employee in some way, shape, matter, or form. And if you're a good employer, you work with all of your employees, and many of our employees don't need accommodations. They're ready to go. They just need a supportive employer who will teach them, and we can be part of that teaching process. We can bring in DVR to help support that. WIOA, whatever program is necessary, or Tresco, and get a person started with a small business in the area. And we have lots of examples of successful placements. So please feel free to contact me, and I will do my best to make a match.
That's fantastic, Chris. And so if you are a member business or a business in the community that would like to work with Tresco to help give folks who have some degrees of disability some integrity and opportunities to feel value and contribute to your workplace, you'll be able to find the contact information either above or below, all depending on how you're looking at this. And Chris, it's so lovely to talk with you. I know that we're going to have more conversations, and hopefully we'll be able to see you soon when we start resuming our in-person events. And so Thank you for your time. I appreciate it greatly, and for talking to us about Tresco and just for the services that you provide and giving folks integrity and value. I think it's so unique and so needed and deserved. So
Well,
thank you.
thank you very much, Carrie, and we appreciate the opportunity, and we look forward to the next 54 years of what's going to come. And we're going to be here for people with disabilities for a long time. So
Yeah.
thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Chris. It's great. I'll see you soon. If you're a member, would like to go ahead and do a Zoom chat with me, go ahead and contact us through the Facebook page here, or you can email me. You can see that information as well. Love to be able to uplift what you're doing in the community and share folks through our Zoom chats how you are a local business or an organization that is part of Las Cruces and giving back. So thank you again, Chris. It's good seeing you. I will see you soon. Take care.